Erev Tov Chavrim, I'm Stephen Ben-Nun. You're watching Israeli News Live. Friends, before we go into the issue with Iran and Israeli general meeting with U.S. General Dunford about the situation with Iran, we have other breaking news. Amichai Stein from Israel is reporting that there have been 4 killed in the Annapolis, Maryland shooting. This is at the Sun Gazette newspaper there in Annapolis, Maryland. Suspect is a white male in his 20s who was armed with a shotgun. These are some of the pictures coming out. The workers there streaming out, hands up in the air. They're showing being an active shooter from what we've heard thus far. Still kind of early to tell what's going on. Whether or not the gunman has been taken out or not, I have no idea at this time here. But these are the early images that we're seeing right now coming out. The Gazette's website here in this part of Europe is not really available. You can kind of jump on there, but then you get knocked right back off. I don't know exactly what the issue is. The European Union has been changing their laws about who is allowed to be on the internet here. Kind of like we got an email from a friend of ours in Tel Aviv yesterday, or day before yesterday, something like that. I saw the email where he said that in Israel, our videos on YouTube are really going haywire over there. But anyway, there is definitely coming a battle for free speech. There's coming a battle for independent media, even though Israeli News Live is an organization from the United States, registered organization. There is still coming a battle to where they're going to make laws to where it is nearly impossible, unless you are under some government entity, being allowed to bring out media, free speech in the media there. That is coming in the very, very near future. Maybe the same with religious speech as well. In other words, making even videos about your faith and beliefs and things like that you want to share with the world. That may also come scrutinized. I remember when I first wrote the first book I ever wrote, about a year later, the Christian bookstores where my book was actually put on shelves they were being taken off because there was a new policy. The publisher was no longer, or the stores were no longer allowed to publish books like mine. They had to be authorized through a publisher to start with. So I was realizing then New World Order scenario is definitely coming in the very near coming days there. Now let me take you real quick what we're talking about here, what's going on. And wrong spot there. We'll come back to that in just a moment here. Israeli General Defense Chief arrives in Washington for urgent talks on Syria. This is not just dealing with Iran, but of course with Iran as well. Israeli Chief of Staff Gadi Eisenkot in Israel. Defense Chief Major General Gadi Eisenkot arrived in Washington today for an urgent meeting with the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Dunford, he's meeting with there, to discuss the situation in Syria, the efforts to push Iranian forces out of the country. Now, if you kind of been following what's going on here, President Trump has given the green light to go ahead and take out Iran pretty much as far as in Syria. And but yet at the same time, the president has talked about standing down and not interfering with President Bashar al-Assad's retaking of the city of Dara. But not so fast. Don't think that they're just going to throw their hands up in the air as of yet, because there is still very much in earnest a false flag chemical attack being prepared. I saw an interview with Seymour Hersh earlier, the award-winning journalist, American journalist there, who has certainly uncovered a lot of facts, and he was defending Bashar al-Assad, saying that there was no credible evidence of ever being any chemical attack by the Assad government. But nonetheless, those plans are still out there. There is still suspect that they're going to be there. Now, at the same time, though, Russia's making a very provocative move. 27 aircraft and 1,140 personnel have withdrawn from Syria over the past days. This came out today on the South Front News, that Russian forces and air forces are being pulled out of the country. That lets us know that President Putin definitely must be working with a new world order because his ally Iran is being thrown under the bus, so to speak. They're about to have a regime change. Now, I guess in one way you could say Putin would not necessarily be against the Iranians, kind of like everybody else says. We're not against the people, we're only against the government. Well, I'm not for the Iranian government either, quite frankly. But nonetheless, this is falling in line with General Wesley Clark's revelation that he revealed several years back there, stating that the would be taken down in 5 years, way off target, of course, time framing. But it is preparing for a new world order. It's preparing the Silk Road. Remember, the rivers were dried up for what? The kings of the East. We're going to be looking at these things prophetically this coming Friday night. And as well, sharing with you the video, and I apologize, I have not got the video edited up and ready to go yet, with Dave Gahary, the author of Dave, forgive me, I forget the name of the book again, but it's something about the USS Liberty. Of course, we know the Liberty was attacked, practically destroyed, 34 sailors were killed. But interestingly, when we discussed this with Dave Gahary, who has done a tremendous amount of research about this, he's interviewed practically all the survivors, not all of them, but a lot of them. And his information really made me realize that in 1967, the war in Israel may have been the early stages of wanting to bring about a new world order. But it didn't quite go as planned as far as making land, freeing up land in certain areas. So you're gonna see some of this information here. Very interesting, no doubt. And by the way, that's not discounting the fact of miracles that God did protecting the Israeli soldiers that are on the battlefield. Remember, that is the apple of his eye. Not so much the elite leaders that are ruling the nation, that are bringing about a new world order, but God has his remnant that are even part of the IDF and IAF, etc. there. And he does care about his children, as he does globally, not just on our little strip of land that we have there in the Middle East there, but God cares about the children of Israel as well as the Gentile believers all across the globe there. So we're going to be getting into a lot more of this stuff this coming weekend there, but I wanted to show you how that Russia is withdrawing, and that lets me know the green light is on for a war with Iran. And you know, we have friends in Iran. Tracy, her family over there, who watches here on Israeli News Live. I don't know if she's here tonight right now, but our love and Godspeed go out to Tracy, her family, her loved ones there, their friends there, because any war on Iran could affect the Iranian people. As much as they would say they want a regime change in the country, that is, as far as the governments, Israel, the United States, and other governments around the world, it's funny how they just trade out bargain chips and stuff. What is this all about? Controlling the Silk Road. These borders are going to be open up. You got to understand, they're bringing about a new world order. They don't want nobody standing in the way of that kind of progress. And undoubtedly, they just don't like who's in charge in Iran. After all, the Vatican is very strong Sunni proponents and not Shiite. So that's one reason why we kind of see the things happening the way they are. Another very troubling issue, and this also lets me know that a war is definitely on the books. This just came out yesterday, I'm sorry. Lebanon says the UNHCR resident visas depend on Syria refugee plan. Lebanon will resume processing refugee applications for staff of the United Nations Refugee Agency when other UN bodies submit a clear plan to return Syrian refugees, a senior official said on Wednesday. Returning them. Wow, guess what? He's expecting them, and Israel has already stated they will not accept the refugees. I've seen photos already of thousands of displaced Syrians as they have fled the bombing where Russia and President Bashar al-Assad has been bombing, trying to rid Southern Syria and Quneitra of ISIS, al-Qaeda, and al-Nusra militants. By the way, see there, you know, Israel, yeah, they may have been supporting the al-Qaeda and al-Nusra fighters there, but now, well, you become the cannon fodder. What do you know? See, this is an elite issue. This is not Israelis, that's an elite group of leaders there that play both sides of the fence. And by the way, let's turn to the United States just in brief here. I want to share something with you. This came out on All News Pipeline. With martial law plans already in place, we could lose America if we don't stop what's happening right now. Again, it's playing on both sides of the fence. You know, when it comes, let's say, for example, the situation of separating children, and of course the Democrats have really slammed President Trump, and his policy was definitely contributing, tripling the numbers of separation of children from parents. But Democrats were playing politics too, making it look like they're the great saviors when in essence it was the Democrats that set the law up to begin with that would allow this separation there. But they're playing against on each side. This is nothing but a charade. It is used to cause division in America so that they will go at each other's throats and practically to a civil war in the country. I mean, the Democrats have lost it. They're out there talking about doing all kinds of evils and attacks on Republicans. I mean, people, wake up. You know, I am totally against this idea of separating these children from their families. But at the same time, I also know that the Vatican itself was the one that was encouraging the mass migration of refugees. These refugees had no idea what was going to be going on, what was awaiting them there. But it was a move for an agenda. Why? Because the New World Order is going to be a borderless society, but under a global military, a global police. All right, we're fixing to get a radical change, friends, and you know, and from what I've heard, and I have not been able to corroborate this information as of yet. I don't know if it's in this particular story or not, but President Trump has talked about how that the Democrats actually set up the FEMA camps, etc., and he has warned them if they continue to push this way that will cause a civil war in the country, that those camps will open and they will be used. Well, you know what? That's what I'm saying. Both sides are playing this, friends. Both sides are playing this. You know, they say here in this news story over a Rasmussen reports lays out flatly 31% of Americans now believe a U.S. civil war will be coming soon, with 59% of those polled believe Democrats oppose President Trump's policies will resort to violence. Yet, as we reported on the ANP on June 23rd, should the left suddenly start carrying out violent temper tantrums upon law-abiding conservative Americans and conservative respond to protect themselves and their families, it could end up in being a bloodbath for the left. Republican gun ownership in America more than 3 times that of Democratic, according to Pew Research Center poll. Listen, guys, let me just say it again. I'll say it and I'll say it and I'll say it. I sat in Washington, D.C. when Obama was president with one of his own Secret Service agents there, and he told me the plan was looking for a way to cause the American people to go to civil unrest because they need to disarm the nation. He shared with me the letter that was given to Obama by the United Nations that they must disarm as part of a new world order agenda. It's coming to Israel too, by the way. Oh yeah, my Israeli brothers and sisters that are watching this broadcast tonight, they're going to do it with you as well. All right, and listen, I got an email today, and I won't call the person's name there, but let me just say this here. A person had written me and is talking about, you know, Steve, you know, don't be, you're fear-mongering and stuff like that. Listen, I don't want to be talking about stuff like this. I really do not. And I want to say he's a brother. He said that, you know, when Jesus died on the cross, he said, it is finished. Yes, his job said it was finished. He had completed the redemption process. But he did say that if they treated him the way they treated him, he said, do you think they're going to treat you any different? Do we expect that we're going to get just some kind of rose bed of flower bed of ease? Trials and tribulations, all kinds of things that are coming upon the earth. I realize we can't change everything, but we can at least be a voice for truth in this day. And because believe me, I have no desire to fearmonger or cause anybody anguish. I try to warn the people and to be a voice. a voice for truth in the hour that we're living in. So I trust it's a blessing to you guys. You know, and at the same time, I'm trying to uncover. The more that I can see what's going on, the more I try to uncover, to share with you guys what I'm seeing, what's happening in the world. And as I said again, the very key signs, Lebanon, talking about they want to plan how you're going to get the Syrian refugees back to their own country. We're seeing the situation, Israel talking about not accepting refugees in their country. We see that the President and President Putin and President Trump are meeting in Helsinki, Finland on, I think it's the 16th of July coming up here. I wished I wasn't coming back to the U.S. so soon. This was one of my big issues. I've been trying to stay here long enough to cover that meeting between President Trump and President Putin. And so I kept pushing the flight back, because I knew that this was supposed to be coming. And unfortunately, I figured, okay, maybe it'll be in the spring. And I finally give up on trying to stay here long enough to catch that meeting, and booked our flights for right here the first week of July, coming back to the U.S. Anyway, we will be doing, and I will announce here on Israeli News Live when we begin to do our tour through America. We're going to be speaking on things that I wouldn't even say publicly nowhere on YouTube or even Patreon. I'm going to share some insights with you guys as we travel and meet you guys in person around the country. And I'm going to tell you some things I've said on YouTube before, but I've never said who and how and why. And I think sometimes maybe it'd be a good time to just really open up and let you know how serious of an hour we're living in. Because some of the big names in the government that have spoken to me, that have come to my home and spoken to me, everything they said is now coming to pass. This wasn't prophecies either, friends, neither. This was New World Order scenarios. And I'm going to share a lot of that stuff with you as we meet you around the countryside there. We will be trying to give about a 30-day notice pretty much on each meeting we do. There will be, the first one will be in Orlando, more than likely, or it'll be Pensacola, Florida, then Orlando. I don't know which way we're going to do it as of yet. Then we will be working somewhere to go towards North Carolina, Texas, and we just got to go back and forth. Have to go back in, recuperate a little bit, get back out again, and meet with you guys around the country there. From I think we're going to be doing this basically from August until right around, I think November sometime, because in November I have to come back to Europe, and then I have a meeting here that I'll be speaking at in Prague. So I'll be coming back to Prague for a meeting here, and then back to the U.S., and then we'll be scheduling. Then we were going to schedule Ireland before we left, but we've run into some technical problems with that. So we've got to get these issues dealt with in order to be able to do the meeting in Ireland, Germany, and other places like that. But we are going to set up meetings there as well. So I'll be reaching out when we're getting closer to that time to those of you that live in those areas, and then to work with you on, if those that would like to help us to set up meetings in those countries. Ireland would be one of those. Germany would be another. We actually have a sister that will probably help us with the meeting in Germany. And we'll be doing a European tour in 2018, depending on if the Lord tarries. I like to always, my great-grandmother always said that to me, if the Lord willing, we will be doing these things. So, and trying to really share some powerful things with you that I think will be a blessing to you. This Shabbat Live, I think we're going to be back on Danoon Institute for this particular Shabbat Live. And I will definitely be on schedule this time. We'll be at 9 p.m. Prague time, 10 p.m. Israeli time, which is about 3 p.m. Eastern time. And we're going to be talking about faith. It's something I want to really get into because I see so much negativity and how negativity impacts your faith. We may also get into some of these things prophetically that's going on as well, but if I do that, I will probably do that Shabbat message on Israeli News Live, maybe on Saturday instead, Yom Shabbat itself. I'm Steve Ben-Nun. You're watching Israeli News Live. Let me just jump over and say hello to everybody real quick before I close out with you guys. I want to thank our moderators. I believe they're there. So I kind of just jumped in here at the last minute. So who knows? Our moderators may not even got the message that we went live. So I'm not really sure. But anyway, we certainly love all you guys and thank you for coming in tonight. And a blessing to you guys. So yes, Christina's there. God bless you, sister, and everybody that has joined in tonight. And keep in mind, our moderators, they do a wonderful job, you know, and they know some of the guidelines that we do. You know, we don't like promoting channels here on Israeli News Live. Not to say that the channel you might be wanting to mention here might not be a good channel. It's not that we do not allow that here. It's mainly because I don't know the message that's coming forth. And maybe the sisters themselves may not know it either. And if we were to allow promoting channels here, then the next thing you know, anything and everything could be there, and we could end up having problems. Because I don't say that I have all the right answers, but I don't want to promote things that I have no idea about. So that's one reason, though. And our sisters are so kind, and we don't like the profanity in here, things like that. I know there's some people that's just their way they talk, but we want to keep things clean. And even if you disagree with me, if we do things respectfully and with love with one another, we don't have a problem with that. But just so you kind of know where they kind of take things at. So thank you so much, sisters, for doing that. And helping us with this chat room. It's a lot of work for them, and I really, really appreciate their time, their love, and their dedication, especially it's always last minute on my end. Anyway, blessings to all of you guys. Thank you for watching. I will be getting this thing up with Dave. It may not be tomorrow. It should be up by Friday, though, because the editing process on this video that we did with Dave Gahary about the USS Liberty, it was over 2 hours of filming there. So we've got a lot of work to do, and I want to make sure that it's just the best top quality so you guys can enjoy listening to the information on that. Anyway, I'm Stephen Ben-Nun. You're watching Israeli News Live. Erev Tov.